second week in a row, we're talking about Layne Riggs winning a playoff race. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't mean much of anything for Layne because he didn't make the playoffs, so he's only going to be able to finish as high as 11th in points here. How much do you think he's regretting having that up and down first half of the season and not being able to get into the playoff grid?
Well, I don't think he's regretting it because he made the decision to have a bad first three-fourths of the year. I don't think anyone in the Craftsman Truck Series is trying to have a bad year, but man, he had a bad year for front row motorsports, and we didn't expect it because we literally saw Zane Smith the year before do so much better in the same truck, and so thinking Layne Riggs coming from South Boston, which is not that Boston. We thought this is a match made in heaven. Short track ace there at Sobo. He's going to do great and win a lot of races. They just didn't come at the right time, but saw the potential at least from the beginning that short tracks might be your thing, buddy. So we come to Milwaukee. He's able to get it done. Unfortunately, that was just after the playoffs locked in, and we started our countdown to Phoenix, and so he doubles down after a few weeks off because the Truck Series schedule and wins again at Bristol, which I remember saying after the Milwaukee win, Ben, if he's going to win somewhere else, it's probably going to be these short tracks. And I see another one in the sights as well, Martinsville coming up, second to last week. I would mark your calendars for another Layne Riggs win potentially if he can get it done, or if someone doesn't knock him out of the way. He's definitely great at these short tracks. You've got to get the other ones figured out, and I really hope. I mean, with 2 wins, I hope you are, but hope he's back for next year and able to right those wrongs and get into the championship hunt for 2025.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at these results here, Brandon. And like I mentioned, dreadful start to the year. He had the 33rd place finish at Daytona, and then a strong finish at Atlanta. Unfortunately, disqualified from that race, accredited with 33rd there. So a pair of those finishes to start the year. Then he rebounded a little bit, was 10th at Bristol, a short track, and then really struggled through the stretch of COTA, Martinsville, got a top 15 there at least, but Texas, Kansas, Darlington, really nowhere to be seen. And then this is where the up and down period started here. 3rd at North Wilkesboro, a short track, 28th at Charlotte, 5th at Gateway. Probably as long of a short track style track as you could potentially have here. I'd say maybe if it's more of an intermediate, but races like a short track in some perspectives, I guess, there. So 5th place there, and then 25th at Nashville, 30th at Pocono. And then he's been on fire these last few short track races. 5th at IRP, 5th at Richmond, and then back-to-back wins at Milwaukee and Bristol. So to your point, he's got the short tracks figured down. If he can figure out the intermediates, the road courses, the super speedways, and all those tracks, and I mean, if he had just won one of those short track races, that would have been enough to punch his ticket to the playoffs here. But if he can do that, we'll see how he does when we get to Phoenix here to crown our champion here. If he can steal a win there or not, obviously not going to mean anything for the championship this year, but hopefully he gets that opportunity to come back next year and show what he's capable of, and hopefully he's a part of the playoff grid. Because if he were in the playoff field this year, with how he's been running lately, I don't know. I mean, I think you would have to put him up there with the Christian Eckeses and Corey Himes of the world as potentially a championship favorite. When you think of where the championship race is, how he's racing on these types of tracks, and the string of momentum that he's carrying right now, he would be, I think, certainly at least in that championship 4 fight, to your point, Brandon, about Martinsville. If he were in the playoff grid, he'd be locked into a round of 8. All he would have to do is go win Martinsville. And then as we saw last year with that championship 4 in the Truck Series, you just have to get there. And then who knows? I mean, all hell can break loose. Who knows what's going to happen if you're championship eligible going into that race. So Layne Riggs has proven now that he has the talent, he has the capability, and he certainly has the team behind him. He's just got to do that at some point in the first half of the year, first 2/3 of the year, really, to get into the playoffs, and then he can maybe go on a championship run in 2025. So we'll see if he can do just that next year.
Yeah, not only is he peaking at the right time, well, at the wrong time, but if he were in the playoffs at the right time, but I also just look at that team he's with, Ben, just the front row, having that experience in the Truck Series playoffs with Zane Smith. I think he would have had so much potential if he had just been a hair before, because he's got one of the best teams in the garage there to go for a championship if it were possible. Unfortunately, it's not going to be this year.